Amy Martin with CBS 6 Edith, Virginia, and I was just on the mic with Mike, Marcy, talking about all things Richmond. Tune in, man, tune in!
I am listening to On the Mic with Mike every day. That's what I do! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On Mic with Mike. Mike King here. This is part of the Mike King Biz Media Network, ESPN Richmond 106.1, International Business Coach Radio, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, as well as CW Richmond TV. So we talked to the game changers who are out there. JJ White is in the building. Welcome to the program, sir. Mike. All righty, so I met you when we were over at the Inc. 5000. I just felt smarter being in that room.
Amen.
It was just like the Inc. 5000. That is a big deal. So we had Glenn from Summit Human Capital. He was here the other day talking about business. Talk about who you are, what you do, and then we're going to go through a little about the business ecosystem here in Richmond.
So I own multiple businesses in Richmond. My day job is I'm a certified EOS implementer. That's Entrepreneurial Operating System. So I work with small, medium-sized businesses to help with their strategic planning, vision, execution, things of that nature. Also own some Dale Carnegie training franchises and some F45 fitness franchises. So I'm all about helping people get better.
So you're in the people business.
Yes, sir.
So how do you go from when you're at Carnegie to fitness? Do you look at specific industries and say, hey, that one is hot over there, I think I'm going to go do that?
Not really, to be honest with you. I've always been a very selfish person growing up. Grew up in a kind of a broken household. So I think when that happens, you start to think more about yourself. And I realized that was getting in my way as a human being. I got exposed to Dale Carnegie, and I realized not only did I need to transform, I wanted to be a part of other people's transformation. So that's really been the thread that runs through everything I do. Money's good. You need money. I want money. But, man, if I could go to my deathbed and know that I was a great dad and a great husband and I helped some other people change their lives along the way, I'm in it.
What is the difference between it's hot out there? Carnegie was really hot some years ago.
Yep.
And this whole John Maxwell.
Yep.
What's some of the similarities and differences between those?
So I've always said there's no real competition in this industry. Like when you've decided you want to do something for yourself, you should not be choosing between Dale Carnegie and Sandler and Maxwell. It's a matter of which one are you going to do first, then which one you're going to do next, then which one you're going to do the next year, because it's a lifelong journey. There is no it's an and process. So we usually find people that are always learning, always involved somewhere in their life journey and deciding what they're going to do next to get a little bit better at what they're doing and who they are.
One of the things when I met you over at, shout out to Greg Samuels bringing me on board for that. That was a really amazing event there. And I'd never heard of EOS. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about what that is and what level of business needs that, whether it is the two-man shop or 220 or 200. And talk about what the business ecosystem looks like for you now here in Richmond.
So EOS was founded about 15 years ago by a guy named Gino Wickman, wrote a book called Traction. In his early 20s, he was brought in to help turn around his family's business. In a few years, it took him, he reset the entire leadership team. He became, and I'm going to tie in EO, because we were with EO with that Inc. 5000, he was the founding member of the EO Detroit chapter.
Okay.
He found a knack in helping other entrepreneurs run their business, just using a set of just simple tools. It's not rocket science. And then over time, cobbled that together to become modern day EOS. 3 things that EOS does for businesses. First is vision, which is getting a leadership team moving in the same direction, 100% on the same page where the business is going. That then leads to traction, which is accountability, discipline, focus to make that vision become a reality. And the third piece, which to many is the most important, is healthy, which is building a open, honest, cohesive, fun-loving leadership team, because, Mike, most leadership teams aren't.
People don't know, a lot of times we want to put a finger on good leadership, good culture. They really necessarily can't. Well, but they can give you chapter and verse on when it's bad.
Yep.
They can tell you why I hated this place. Sometimes when things are going good, things are moving along good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know why it's good. It's just, okay, it's good.
Yep.
But, man, when it's not good, all you hear is this person saying that, this person saying it. Hey, shout out to my cousin Raymond Watson. Pastor, how you doing out there? We talked about preachers out there. So shout out to my cousin down there in North Carolina. All right, really quickly. So how'd you get to the fitness world?
Oh, so I'm like many people. I've started and stopped a lot of fitness journeys in my life. Always lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. It was 3 years ago this month shame on me. I had a physical for the first time in my life as an adult. And the doctor looked at me and said, "You've got diabetes." And I was like, "I've got what? What am I going to die? Like, what does this mean?" And he said, "Well, there's good news." He goes, "You don't have to be diabetic. If you do everything we tell you to do, change your diet, change your exercise, then you don't have to have diabetes." I said, "Sign me up." And I started this program called 75 Hard, which is a really intense exercise, nutrition. It's really a mental discipline exercise. And around that time, a former employee of mine had done it. And he reached out saying that he was thinking about opening up a fitness franchise. And everything came together for me, Mike, everything. Like, I needed this life transformation. And I had a friend of mine that was bringing a business opportunity in my life that would help me physically transform and help other people physically transform. Fast forward, we decided to do it, opened up our first studio in Midlothian last year. I'm not diabetic anymore. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I'm barely pre-diabetic now.
When you have a business idea, are you an entrepreneur who's always looking at the next opportunity?
Yes.
That's you.
Oh, yes.
All right, sir. I got a question. Yes. Can serial entrepreneurs, you guys have wandering eyes. Mm-hmm. Can you ever just settle down with that one thing and be like, okay, I'm not going to think of this crazy idea on a Thursday where you're just riding along and like, I wonder, will this thing work? No, you're on this path. You're doing it. You're done.
So here's where
that sounds like you're getting to be a no.
It's a no. Here's where I've found myself. I, at this point, am not really doing anything by myself. If that happens to me, if I'm in that car and I'm thinking about that, I go back to what Dan Sullivan said. It's who, not how. I'm not thinking about how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? It's who do I know that I can get with to help this get done? Because like Mike, my business partner at 45, he needed me as a partner to help with some capital investment. I needed him as someone passionate about fitness to actually run the studio. I'm not going to run the studio. I'm not going to go in there every day. And do I look like a guy that's going to sit there and teach people how to lift weights? That ain't me. But he is. So we both had each other's who lined up. So I've got a couple ideas in the oven right now, and I'm already thinking about, well, who would be interested in this? Who would want to do that? Who would want to do this? That's
when you have that, how do you determine who's the good fit?
So first of all, it's core values for me. It's like we need to see the world the same way. We don't need to agree on everything, but we need to be grounded in our core values. I'll give you a great example. Right before I came here, I had a friend call up, business associate and friend, asked me if he's just doing, and we're both about 50. He asked me if I would want to be the executor of his estate. I was like, what? How did you pick me? And he said, I lined all these values up and all these things, and you're the only one in my life that fit all that. So oftentimes when you're thinking about other people, it's like you've got to have criteria. And then these people, I mean, I'm a faith-based guy. These people are being brought into my life. It's like, this is just a match. Let's just make this happen.
A lot of times, so we do talk about culture, faith-based activities here. What part does an organization have that is faith-based? How do you look at things that are a little bit different than everyone else? Well,
obviously, a greater purpose. Things are more happening for you than to you. I think a lot of people, you and I were kind of talking a little bit earlier. A lot of people, like when things were bad, then the highlights on the bad. Man, bad is a blessing. Bad means something needs to be looked at. Bad means something needs to be focused in on. Because if it's always good all the time, guess what happens? You get lazy, you get inattentive, you stop paying attention to things. Bad means there's an issue. We need to go look at this. That's what I look at bad as.
That reflection right there is a hard one, sir.
I hear you.
That one that's a tough conversation. So when you go in with the DOS system, now we're going right to that. People show up at your doorstep. Mm-hmm. What do you see now that really is kind of like, you're going to see it because that's the time we live in. It's just a matter of when it shows up.
Yep. Hitting the ceiling. That's like the number one thing that I see is hitting the ceiling. People are working hard. They're giving it their all, but they're like in a rocking chair. They're just doing a lot of motion, a lot of movement, but they just can't seem to be making forward progress. And someone has finally realized, I guess I don't have all the answers. I guess it's not always up to me anymore. I guess we need to figure this out with someone other than me. And that's where we start.
Okay, we're going into 2024. Mm-hmm. What would be some words of wisdom for a person? Everyone has a dream about starting a business. Everyone wants You know, people can't work. I can't work for somebody 8 hours a day. Can't. I don't feel like it. Then you start your own business. 29 hours a day, you're up there trying to figure stuff out. Like, oh man, how am I going to do this thing? What's something that you're telling people going into 2024 that they need to be doing as an entrepreneur?
So this is just kind of the theme you might be hearing with me. Talk to people, network with people, ask them what their biggest challenges are. What are you dealing with right now? Because we know every great business has always started off with either creating an opportunity for someone or solving someone's problem. And if you can hear things that you're gifted in, that you know you can solve someone, sometimes it's a little bit of giving away something for free. Let me help you with that. I won't even charge you for it, just to get your first customer, just to get something going off the ground that you're very, very passionate about. It doesn't have to be your absolute calling and your purpose. It could just be something that I don't know why, but I'm just really good at this. I get so another friend of mine I was talking today, they volunteer. They're in the financial services industry, but she's great at sewing and creating costumes. So she gives her time to this playhouse to help them make their costumes. That could be a business one day, making these fancy costumes and selling them on the internet and stuff. You just never know. Just go with what you're good at and find people that have a need somewhere.
Let's talk about the Richmond ecosystem right now. What does it look like now as opposed to, say, 10 years ago?
Oh, man. I don't know that it's a whole lot different other than the fact that you're seeing a big generational shift in what's going on. The boomer, the largest population, is starting to get smaller, even though they stayed in longer in 2008. A lot of them were going to leave in 2008, but they stayed longer because they couldn't afford to leave. Their business valuations were going down. And you get this much younger, much more higher energy group coming in that lives a different life. And what I'm seeing in these entrepreneur leadership teams is the younger folks are really pushing back as a leader to where the direction of the companies are going, because they have a generation with them that want this change and want these differences made, whether it's a more diverse workforce, more freedom, more balance, just whatever it is. Maybe guys like you and I would be like, well, I mean, that's out of my comfort zone. We got to do more work. We got to get things done. They want to play a little bit more. They want to have more time in their life to do other things. And these cultures clash inside companies. And I'm starting to see a big wave of these new mindsets coming in that business owners have to deal with, whether they want to or not.
There you go. JJ is here with us. I'd like to thank you for coming in. How can people find information out about you?
EOSRichmond.com, EOSRichmond.com. That takes you to my site. That's the best place to go.
What's a sweet spot for a business looking to take you up on your services?
Ideally, 10 to 250 employees, even though we do work with companies smaller and bigger. That's the sweet spot. Want to grow, and they're more afraid of the status quo than they are of change.
That's something right there. It is. You know, I don't like this place, but I'm way more afraid of that one.
You got that right.
So I'm just going to stick and stay here.
Yep.
On the Mike and Mike, we are the best business radio program around. You can catch us. So, hey, so this is a shout out to my cousin out there. Back in the day, St. John's Church of God in Christ, Newport News, Virginia. This is a little music right here for you, Pastor. All right, we got to go. Take care now. Thanks.
What an ending.